So the question really is, how should governments set the public sector wage? Let's imagine that I'm unemployed and I have to choose which sector to apply. Am I applying to a public sector job or to a private sector job? If the public sector pays very, very high wages, I'm going to just apply to public sector jobs. So many people will apply and you'll have queues for these jobs. And while they are applying there, they are ignoring the vacancies in the private sector that are left unfilled. On the other hand, if wages in the public sector are too low, then I'm not going to apply. I'm going to apply to private sector jobs, and so will too many people, and the government will face recruitment and retaining problems. In between the two lies an ideal wage, an optimal wage that balances the two effects. Not too high to generate queues for the public sector, but also not too low to generate recruitment problems. And in my paper, I come up with two principles that help us getting that balance. The first one is that public sector wages should be very, very close to private sector wages, and with only a small adjustment factor that depends on the characteristics of the two jobs. So I'll give an example. Public sector jobs are safer, so the probability of losing your job is lower. So because of that, the government should compensate with offering slightly lower wages. The second finding relates to how should governments set the wage growth every year. The same principle applies, that the public sector wage should grow at the same rate as in the private sector. So if we are in an expansion and wages in the private sector are growing at 4%, wages in the public sector should grow at 4% as well. If we are in a recession and the wages are not growing in the private, they should also not grow in the public sector. So in a way, the benefits of a boom or the pain of a slump are shared equally by the two sectors. So I think the contribution of the paper is to provide two principles that can guide policymakers when they're designing their policies for public employment and public wages. Public sectors are very complex and they are very different in different countries, but by and large, in practice, these two principles are not met in many different countries.